Well, hey there, and welcome to today's edition of B.E.P Talks, where amazing people from all around the world, all walks of life, all industries and professions, all ages and stages of life and career come to the B.E.P Talks stage to share their beliefs, their experiences, and their passions. BEP, beliefs, experiences, and passions. What I love so much about BEP Talks is the generosity of the information that is shared to inspire, to motivate, to educate, entertain, whatever it is. It's your story, and we are here to share. BEP Talks is where you come to share, to take center stage, where you can become easy to remember and impossible to forget. I am so excited to introduce today's guest to you. Very multidimensional. She's going to share her stories, her beliefs, her experiences, and passions. So please welcome to today's BEP Talk stage, Diane Strand. Hi there, Diane, and thank you so much for joining us here today on BEP Talks. I've been looking forward to this. As I said, so many of our guests really come from multidimensional places in life. You are certainly no exception to that. You have a fascinating history, and I'm going to share with our listeners from my personal perspective why I feel that way. You come to us as the creative director. You're an award winning producer. You have an exciting Hollywood background. You and your family have an amazingly successful business called JDS Studios out on the West Coast of the United States. I don't know where to begin because everything about you excites me and fascinates me. I'm going to share why. I don't even know how many years to go back because we'll both be dated by this, of being a viewer of General Hospitals, a show that you worked on, the production of, and Friends, one of the most popular sitcoms, it has to be, of all time. I still watch the reruns. It's one of those shows that's always there. It always entertains, always puts a smile on my face. So that fascinating background. And then you had a pivot. You had a pivot. Share with us, and I know your story goes back further than that. It goes back to the second grade. Your love of the arts, of getting involved in the Hollywood whole biz, which kind of everybody I think dreams about somehow. Diane Strand, what is your story? Where does it begin?
Well, it does have lots of different beginnings for sure. But the one through line that really comes through is the arts that really connects it all the way from second grade to today. There's a great quote by Steve Jobs that says, "You can't connect your dots looking forward. You have to look back and trust that they will connect in the future." And every milestone or dot or pivot or change that has happened in my life, the through line has always been the connection to the arts and the tools that it teaches and how it really impacts life and business. Whether that
Mm,
was the second grade little girl who just wanted to play Betsy Ross in the school play and couldn't understand why teachers and even my parents said, maybe you should try something different. That
oh,
isn't such the best idea. I couldn't read. And as a young girl, I was undiagnosed, but I am dyslexic. And that didn't get diagnosed to many years later. And I was a struggling reader, and school was not my friend, but the arts kept me connected. And
mm,
somehow in second grade, I figured out how to audition, and I got the part of Betsy Ross in the school play. And, that other big pivotal moment in second grade was there was a huge fundraiser that year. And whoever sold the most candy in the whole school, and this will date me, would win a black and white 19-inch television set. And I really wanted that TV for my room so I could watch TV in my bedroom. And so I set a goal and I enlisted help from my parents, but I did the work and I sold the most candy in that whole school. And here I am, still working in television. I still love the arts. I raise money for fundraising all the time now. And so those are like huge little milestones and dots in my life that connect all the way through, whether that's what kept me in school,
Yeah, yeah,
back into college, started my career, what I do today in teaching other people about the power of the arts. It all connects.
yeah. That is such a great story. So I love that you quoted Steve Jobs, and I'm thinking, let's go back to that second grade child who wanted to be Betsy Ross and became Betsy Ross. Were you on stage actually making the flag? Were you oh, I love it. I love it.
I was.
Could you at that time, and I know it's hard to go back and kind of put yourself there, but let's try to do that. Could it have been possible to foresee from the mind and the beliefs and the experiences of a second grader? Because at second grade, you're like 8 years old. Could you ever have seen where all of those dots would bring you all these years later?
Never.
Never.
Never. I even say that because where I am today, if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, would I be doing what I'm doing today? I wouldn't understand it because there, it all makes sense now.
Yeah,
But when I was first approached with working with neurodiverse individuals and teaching them video production and multimedia. I'm like, well, what do I know about that? Right? I mean, I don't have a child that I had to has autism or learning disability. I mean,
mhm,
in hindsight, yes, because of course your dots connect. All three of my kids have ADHD. All three of my kids, do suffer from some sort of something. I would even say my oldest, he's not diagnosed, but there are moments of autistic traits in there as well. But we all live somewhere on a spectrum. That's why it's called a spectrum. We're there. Now, there are different severities and
yes.
executive functions that come into play when you are dealing with learning disabilities and how you can move through them. And that's what I know today. And
Mm,
that's why I say I would have never have known that 10 years ago and
mm,
putting the connection. And this is where my business philosophy comes into play, which is show up and say yes. Because I was at a chamber event introducing myself as an executive producer who does video and multimedia and teaches acting and help launches acting careers, to have somebody come up to me and say, I'd love to talk to you about some of the clients that I serve at Inland Regional Center. And I'm like, Inland Regional Center, what's that?
what's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a clearinghouse for people with learning disabilities and on the spectrum. And if I would have said, oh, I don't know anything about that and pushed it away and not said, tell me more and how can I serve? Or sure, I'll have that coffee meeting and learn more. I would have missed out on a $1 million revenue business a
Wow.
year, So that is the show up and say yes. And I would have
Mm,
never, ever been able to believe that I could have done what it is that I'm doing had I thought about it, in that moment going, I don't know how to develop a program for that. I've never taught anybody. I'm not a teacher. I don't know anything
mhm.
about
Yeah.
autism. Those would have been all the things that I could have fear came up, could
Yes.
have told me
Yes.
all those things that would have made complete sense to me.
Right. Right.
But because show up and I say yes, it doesn't mean that I don't ever say no to anything, because of course you have to know your limits and your boundaries. But you show up and you say yes, and you're open to serve, and the pathways that open in front of you just are opportunities of so much. And then you look back and go, oh, now it completely makes sense.
It
Now
makes
I
sense.
really
Yeah.
know why they
Yeah.
connect. I am that young girl. I do know that hands-on learning is what taught me. I do know tools that got me through school and dyslexia and business and all the things I had to learn and I had to figure out on my own. I want to
Yeah.
share that with other people, and now I can.
What a
So,
great story. So, you know what I just heard here? As an 8-year-old, a second grader, you wanted to do something and you were kind of discouraged from even trying.
yeah,
Even your parents, you said, and your teachers, oh, maybe that's not the best role for you. Maybe you should just be like in the background as an extra kind of a person because of the reading. And then all those years later, someone approaches you from the opposite direction and you don't realize your capacity to be able to do it, but somebody else did.
yes,
We just never know. That is such a lesson unto itself that everything is possible if, from my perspective, if there's a passion somehow burning in your heart that you might not have recognized until that moment, you are clearly a lifelong learner
yes,
and you have figured out for you the best way to learn. And it's not
yes.
always by reading, it's not always by reading, it's by doing.
Hands-on, touching, seeing. Now, it doesn't mean that, obviously I can read and I follow steps, but don't, I love everyone always asks, what's your favorite book to read? I'm like, I write books. I don't necessarily read books. Um, that's kind of my line. But I do read periodicals. I read for information, that sort of thing, which, I have learned tools. But the best thing is, I got to learn something. I got to do it. I got to repeat it. I got to go through that function over and over. And then I know how to do something. Instead of reading it 5 times, I do it 5 times.
And that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people who were a whole lot better than I as students at young ages and got much better grades than I, who do read novels and everything else. But I will say something that we learned back in sixth grade. They go, how do you remember that? Because I actually learned it. I didn't just read it in the moment. I had like you, my own system for learning. How many impressions were made? Were made. And I want to go back. You commented about your children. You mentioned that you have three and, all of them. I give you such honor and praise for that because if we dig deeply enough on anybody, we will find something. So I want to congratulate you on having very normal children, very normal children, and obviously being raised by an exceptionally wonderful mother. Share
Thank
with
you.
us, Diane, what it was, because the common denominator here is the arts. Not only what got you through, and I love that as a second grader, you were performing, you were engaged in the arts way back then. And look, oh, baby, look at you now. What is it about that common thread through life? The power of the arts. Talk to us about that, please.
Oh, well, if you want something done in life, find a theater kid. That is for sure. They are going to know how to get something done on a shoestring budget. They're going to be able to do something and step outside their comfort zone and do it scared anyways. They're going to learn communication skills. They understand education and history, and they're able to market and they're able to just be in the moment as well as listen. Those are all the big tools that we need in life to be able to succeed. And so I truly believe that, that's what creatives do every day. I really truly call myself a creativepreneur
Mm-hmm. Oh,
because
I like that.
we get creative in difficult moments. It's how we problem solve. It's how we pick ourselves back up with resilience. And, it doesn't matter why or how you fell down. It matters that you get back up and you
Right,
keep
right.
going. And those are the things that, the arts really teach us. You get up on stage and your scene partner forgets their line, you got to figure out what to do right in the moment while there's 100 people staring at you.
Yeah,
This is
disposable.
how
Yeah.
you this is how you learn how to, improv your way through life. It's not fake it till you make it,
Right.
but it's be prepared so that in moments that happen that are unscripted, you can go with the flow. You can not shrivel up and die. You just keep going and moving on. Fear has its right place. It tells us not to jump off the cliff without our parachute. But then I'm going to encourage you to pack your own parachute.
Parachute. Oh,
Trust yourself so that when you need to jump, you know the parachute's going to open because you packed it.
because you packed it. Wow, wow, what a metaphor that is. So I'm here now, so sad that money comes into every conversation somehow. So you look at school budgets, you're driving an incredibly powerful story about the benefits of the arts as a lifelong learning tool, a lifelong show up, you'll figure it out, you'll solve the problem, you'll think with that other side of your brain. Why are the budgets on the arts always the first things to be cut?
Well, I truly believe because the more that you install the arts into kids and humans, they become critical thinkers. They start thinking outside the box. They start being disruptors. In that
Wow.
aspect, but the arts are the only thing that is consistent through time in everything, going way, 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 all the way back before civilization. Cavemen were drawing on the caves and the walls to tell stories, to share things, to do that, act things out. That's how language began. It all started with the arts.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I wish I had the magic answer of why they cut it out of so many budgets, but I'm here to tell you that if it's not in your school, go find it elsewhere for your kids. It's never too late. I don't care if you're two, you're or 202. Get involved in the arts. Be creative. I'm not telling you to go be an artist, to be an actor, to paint murals, to sing, to go be a professional singer, but sing a song, color in a coloring book, get up on
Mm,
stage and do things
mm,
you've never done before. These are what's going to strengthen you on the inside and give you the tools that you need to solve that financial crisis you're going through, to be able to give you some new direction, to pivot, to get creative, to not have to know how the end is going to resolve itself.
mm.
Just know that you got to take the next step, which is I'm
Right,
standing here on stage. My scene partner does not know what to do, so I have to figure out what to do. And
right.
that's where you just weren't you going to tell me that I needed to go get my hat so we could exit stage left? Whatever it's going to
Whatever.
be, right?
Right, fill in the blanks. Well, that's so true. That's so true. And improv itself as an art form has become its own division in theater. Improv theater is fascinating to watch. I have a niece who she's so talented. She sings, she dances, she does comedy, she does drama. She's the perfect femme fatale. And what she hosts, she MCs, and what she loves most, because I think it's where genius is really recognized, is in improv. Not to have
Yes.
had that script, just to get an idea and work with people around you. And if nothing else, at least support the arts. If you're not someone, support the arts for others. So you and your family, your passion is palpable. Your experience is incredible. And of course, all built on your own personal beliefs and experiences. You have done a lot in the arts to support others. You mentioned about this woman approaching you and say, "How about doing this?" Tell us about your not-for-profit and how you've brought the arts to that group of people.
Well, when we started really stepping into teaching the arts from our video production company, we created JDS Actor Studio, which was a professional actor studio. My partner in life and business, my husband, Scott, he's a professional actor and he's been in film and movies. And he was getting that itch. And so we were also noticing that there wasn't a lot of the arts in the school. And so we decided that we were going to create a drama club. And it started as an after school drama club. And we thought maybe 15 to, you know, 20 kids might show up. And we had over 55 kids who showed up for
Wow.
the first drama club 8-week session. And that really grew into the actor studio. And in 4 years of growing from a drama club to an actor studio, we were being asked, can you do musical theater? Can you teach us camera? You do video? Can you do? So it was like, oh, there's still only 24 hours in a day. And that's where I knew I had to pull in some of my other industry professionals. And we gathered around my kitchen table and decided that we were going to create a nonprofit and start it as a nonprofit for the arts is really how it began, where we could, bring in other industry professionals to teach musical theater, script writing, some other creative classes that we were beginning to start. And as that was developing, it was all out of the nonprofit. It was really, we were a nonprofit for the arts, and we still are.
You
But then it
still,
really grew into when I was approached by Beth Crane at Inland Regional Center to talk about a Title 17 program, which is for adults who are neurodiverse and have intellectual disabilities. And at that point, I did have, there are gaps in that story. I had written a curriculum with a educator out of Mount San Jacinto Community College, and we created an apprenticeship. And so that got approved through the state of California. So I took that curriculum and I started augmenting it of how it would really work for somebody who might not traditionally learn. And that's how we created the Title 17 program to be for adults with developmental disabilities. And in May of 2018, we welcomed our first participants through the door, and sitting next to me to the on the other side of that wall, right next to me, is 30 adults with developmental disabilities who are here learning, doing production and multimedia. They support our productions and multimedia. We've placed 13 into real industry jobs.
wow,
And now we have a whole bunch of television shows and festivals, and we just finished Guys and Dolls. We're doing Fiddler on the Roof. So, we have the theater art side, the performing arts side, we have the digital art side. We partner with all the school districts and
beautiful.
um, pre-apprenticeship. So it's fun.
It sounds more than fun. It sounds incredible. What a major project. And if you say there's 24 hours in the day, how you get all of this done, obviously you have a team. And I love that it's a family business that your husband you mentioned and your kids, you're all involved in this. And the one word that I kept hearing, and I wasn't necessarily listening, arts, 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 arts. And for my own life, thinking back about what are the things that you've enjoyed the most? Where do your memories come from? You think of what's your favorite song? What was your favorite movie? I'm a New York girl. What was your favorite Broadway show? It's all the arts. Now, I'm a sports junkie, and sometimes sports in schools takes precedence over arts, as we're discussing it here today. It's all financial legacy kind of stuff. But isn't that a form of art in a way? It's putting on a
Absolutely.
production, it's a business, it's entertainment, multi billions of dollars. And those are it's somebody else is performing or putting on some kind of a show. So, what I'm hearing
I
from you,
often relate sports and athletics and the arts
athletics,
together. Yes.
performance,
Yes.
performance. Absolutely. What I've heard is that there's nothing for everyone, but there's something for there's not one thing that's for everyone, but there's something for everyone. And often it's in the arts. We just don't think of it the way you've brought it to life for us. I think we've all thought that you have to be, Academy Award and this, that. It's not at, it doesn't need to be at that level. It's even when I watch with my little great niece and nephew, their nanny, how she's like performing for them all day long and getting them to create things and to put on their little shows and to do art, and that they're exposed to it. It's her gift that she's giving them because it's the gift that God gave her. You've really provoked a lot of thought here. Is it fair to ask you, of all the things you've done, it's probably not, but I'm going to ask you anyway, what's was there a favorite show that you worked on? Was there a favorite production that you did?
Mean, sure. I mean, at different phases and times in my life, when I was in my Hollywood days, working at Disney Channel was, that was one of the great dreams ever. Even
Sure.
more so than, you mentioned General Hospital. I watched General Hospital when I was in sixth grade,
Yes.
and that was like my favorite show. And then I worked on the show for over 2 years, and then I left the show, and still today I still watch the show every
Fun.
single
I know.
day. So, as far as that goes, I would say they all have different meanings, but work-wise, I mean, I could tell you the moment that Barbara Streisand picked me out of the producer pool and asked me to be her personal producer. I mean, I have great moments like that, but
Hello.
then the moments that make a difference are when we do Wizard of Oz and I watch my daughter now play Dorothy, right? Or I get to have one of the adults with developmental disabilities come up to me and tell me that I'm making their dreams come true. So it ebbs and flows from what would be my favorite moment, to my favorite show. And there are proud moments. I mean, winning nonprofit of the year or winning business of the year, there are those kinds of moments too that, they all kind of just stack up, and I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. And
Yes.
I have, a very full, beautiful life
Yes. Yes.
with a wonderful family and people who support me on my team. And, I get to serve and see other people's dreams come true. So,
You know,
yeah,
I love how you
just very,
casually mentioned the name Barbara Streisand, but my feeling was it's the people on the other side of that wall that you just referenced that really resonate with you so much in your heart. I
sure. I
get
spend
that.
every day with those
I
people.
get that about you. So you said, show up, say yes, try something. You always show up, and you have made it possible for other people to show up and to find the way for them to connect their dots and where their futures are taking them, for you to be one of those dots on that chain. God bless you. That has to be exhilarating and so gratifying. And I am so blessed to now know you, Diane, and I'm so grateful for the time that you have taken to share with me today and with our viewers. And I want to say to everybody viewing, show up, say yes, try something new, sing a silly song. Um, Crayons and adult coloring books came back 10 or so years ago. Do something silly. Do something and celebrate something that maybe you've never tried before. Music is in my heart, but every time I sing, I'm told to stop. And all that does, Diane, is encourage me to sing more because it's in my heart. And I don't have to sound great. I still sing. I still sing. And I think that's such a gift. I give it to myself. Um, Somehow it sounds good to me, but it doesn't sound good apparently to anybody else. So the arts, the arts, the arts. Thank you for your life's work. Thank you to that little girl who played Betsy Ross, who who played the role of someone who created the American flag for us. And through that experience, look what you have created for so many other people. You're
Oh,
still
thank
putting
you.
stripes. You're still putting stripes and stars. You're creating stars now for other people. And I honor you for that. I thank you for that. I am so appreciative, truly, Diane, just to know you, just to
Thank you,
know
Beth.
you. And as I say
Appreciate
to
it.
everybody watching, go do something. Go and look up JDS Studios. There's got to be something that you can do through Diane's charities, through her programs to help a child, to encourage somebody else. Just even support the arts. Do something fun. And as we always say, you have a story. We want to hear it here on BEP Talks. And until we talk again, we say, may the best always be yet to come. And I know when you say goodbye to me, you're jumping over on that other side and going back and playing a very, very beautiful role in the lives of those 30 people. Go do it, and keep doing it. Keep connecting the dots. You are an amazing inspiration. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.